Hare Krishna. We continue with mantras 15 to 18 of Shri Isopanisad. First we will chant the mantras. Hiranmayena patrena satyasya pihitam mukham tattvam poshan apavrinus satya dharmaya drishtaye poshan ekharashe yamasurya prajapatyavyo harasmin samohatejo yatte rupam kalyanatamam tatte pashyami yosafasau purusha sohamasmi vayuranilamamritamate basmanta gham shariram Om Kratos Smara Krita Gam Smara Kratos Smara Krita Gam Smara Agnenaya Supadaraye Asman Vishvani Deva Vayunani Vidvan Yuyudhyasmajjuhuranameno Boishtam Te Nama Uktim Vidhema Om Purnamadak Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. From mantras 12 to 14, we understood that the material energy should be studied only in connection with the Lord. Now, mantra 15 explains that one should understand Bhagavan Sri Krishna as the master of both the material and spiritual energies. Mantra 16 continues the prayer of the devotee for the Lord to reveal his spiritual form. Therefore, this section of mantras is called the devotee's prayer. In mantra 14, it was stated, one should know perfectly the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and his transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastimes, as well as the temporary material creation with its temporary demigods, men, and animals. Such transcendental realizations are possible only by Krishna's mercy. Therefore, these concluding mantras of Shri Isopanisad teach the process of gaining the Lord's mercy by devotional prayers. This is one of the 9 processes of devotional service described in 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam by Prahlad Maharaj. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Vandanam means prayers. Srila Baladev Vidibhushan writes in his commentary to mantra 15 as follows. After the Guru delineates the form of Paramatma to the qualified disciple, the disciple engages in the selfless worship of the Lord to meet the Lord directly and then attains a liberated state. This has been described in the previous verses. But meeting the Lord directly is not possible just by Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, etc. And liberation is not possible just by meeting the Lord. Therefore, as we know, there were many persons who saw the Lord when Krishna was here 5,000 years ago. But there were very few amongst them who realized that this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Baladev Vidibhushan continues, only when one attains the mercy of the Lord can one attain the Lord. The concluding verses of the Isopanisad show the method of praying for the Lord's mercy so that one may attain perception of the Lord through hearing and meditation, and so that one may attain liberation from the world through perceiving Him. In other words, just by seeing the Lord or just by following certain methods, it is not possible for us to attain the Lord. In order to attain the Lord, we need the Lord's mercy, and therefore Isopanisad ends by devotional prayers. This is one of the most effective methods for attaining the Lord's mercy. Perfect knowledge is to know Bhagavan Shri Krishna as the source of Brahman and Paramatma. Brahman is the effulgence coming out from his transcendental body, and Paramatma is his expansion. In mantras 15 and 16, the Lord is addressed as Pushan, or sustainer. The Lord pervades and supports the material creation with a single fragment of himself. This is explained by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter, verse 42. He maintains everybody, Eku Bahunam Yo Vidati Kaman, but still he shows special mercy to his devotees. He guides them and gives them the necessary knowledge to attain him. Therefore, the devotees are in superior position compared to the Gyanis and the Yogis, who depend on their own limited strength, as it is explained in 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Nasadayati mam yogo nadharma sankyam udava nasvadiyastapastyago yatha bhaktir mamorjita. Krishna explains to Uddhava, my dear Uddhava, the unalloyed devotional service rendered to me by my devotees brings me under their control. I cannot be thus controlled by those engaged in mystic yoga, Sankhya philosophy, pious work, Vedic study, austerity, or renunciation. This is Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto, 14th chapter, verse 20. The words Asau Purusha Soham Asmi from mantra 16 do not imply that the living entity and the Supreme Lord are identical in all respects. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur translates this mantra as follows: O Pushan Ekarshi Surya Prajapatya, remove your rays, restrict your light, then I can see your most auspicious form. I'm qualified to see that form because you, the complete person and Paramatma, your portion in the material world, and we Jivas are all spiritual by nature. If you are merciful, I can see you. And this is confirmed by Vedanta Deshika, who writes in his commentary to this mantra as follows. Some claim that the sentences Tattvam Asi and Soham Asmi teach the concept of only one Brahman with no qualities by destroying the false illusory forms of cause, Ishvara, and effect, Jiva. So this is the Mayavad view. However, Vedanta Deshika continues, like a knife, the word Asmi destroys this concept because it indicates the state of my existing even after the realization. In other words, even after the spiritual emancipation, after attaining of perfection, the spiritual individuality remains intact. The soul continues to exist as individual person, and the Lord continues to exist as individual person. Since the concept of you and I, continues Vedanta Deshika, are supposed to be rejected by the hearer, Tvam, and seeker of Brahman, Aham, in these two sentences, according to the proponents of this philosophy, Mayavad philosophy, there can be no one who is enlightened by the state of Tvamasi, your existing, and there can be no one seeking Brahman by the state of Aham Asmi, my existing. And thus the statement of the Isopanisad will be useless. Mantra 17 confirms that the living entity continues to exist after the annihilation of his material body. The soul does not die when the gross body is destroyed, nor it is obliterated when the subtle body is dissolved as a result of spiritual practice. The soul has an eternal individual existence, as it is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita by Krishna himself. Nat fevaham jatu nasam natvam neme janadipa nachaiva na bhavishyama sarvevayata param. Krishna says, neither you nor me nor all of these kings will ever cease to exist, nor we were not existing in the past. So the spiritual individuality of the soul is confirmed in both Isopanisad and the Bhagavad Gita, the eternal spiritual individuality of the soul and of the Lord. The spiritual knowledge reaches maturity when one realizes that the soul is not only eternal, but is also eternally a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Brahman is the effulgence coming out of Krishna's transcendental body, and Paramatma is his expansion. Without such understanding, there will be fall down, even from the liberated position, so-called liberated position. In order to remember the Lord at the time of death, one should practice the 9 processes of devotional service, quoted above, throughout his life. Mantra 17 is a prayer that the Lord remembers all sacrifices done for him and accepts them as devotional service. As Vedanta Deshika explains, the devotee prays that the Lord carry what the devotee lacks and preserve what the devotee has already. This is also explained in Bhagavad Gita 9:22 by Krishna. There Krishna says, Yoga Kshema Vahamyaham. He says the same thing. I carry what you need, what you lack, and I preserve what you already have. This is, by the way, according to the Dharma Shastras, one of the main duty of the king. The king is supposed to protect the citizens, the subjects, by providing what they require and keeping what they already have. And Krishna, as the perfect example of authority, of king, of spiritual master, he is the original source of this potency. Baladev Vidibhushan renders the words Krato Smara as follows: O mind which has willpower, remember what is worthy of remembering, since death is approaching. As explained in Bhagavad Gita, the mind can be the best friend or the worst enemy of the conditioned soul. Therefore, it is of vital importance to keep the mind flooded with Krishna consciousness, with Krishna Katha. The state of the mind at the moment of death will determine the soul's next destination. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. This is Bhagavad Gita 8th chapter, verse 6. In Mantra 18, the devotee prays to be freed from his sinful reactions. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna promises, Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami. I will deliver you from all sins. The devotee prays to be freed of sin, not out of some egoistic desire to be freed of suffering, but only because this will clear his way back to Godhead. This will facilitate his pure devotional service. This is the reason. Another aspect of Mantra 18 is explained by Srila Prabhupada in his purport. Srila Prabhupada writes, in this mantra of Sri Isopanisad, the devotee prays to the Lord to rectify him from within his heart. To err is human. A conditioned soul is very often apt to commit mistakes, and the only remedial measure is to take against such unintentional sins is to give oneself up to the lotus feet of the Lord, so that he may guide one to avoid such pitfalls. The devotee should not just seek, as we already explained, nullification of his sinful reactions. He should be eager to rectify himself according to the Lord's directions. Otherwise, it will be like elephant's bath. We commit some sinful activities, then we perform some prayachita, some atonement, and we get purified, and then we commit sinful activities again. The goal is to uproot the sinful propensity, sinful proclivity from the heart, and this can be done only by devotional service, because by this devotional service we can acquire a higher taste. Rasa varjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate, as Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita. The conditioned soul naturally has many doubts and erroneous ideas. All such misconceptions should be corrected. A devotee should adjust himself or herself according to the laws of God, and not vice versa. In order to make this step, one should be sincere and not crooked. The sincere devotee will achieve the goal even if he is unable to follow all the rules and regulations in the beginning of his practice. On the other hand, a crooked person cannot be saved because of his unwillingness to rectify his heart. This is explained in the purport of Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, verse 32, by Srila Prabhupada, who writes, The injunction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the essence of all Vedic wisdom, and therefore is eternally true, without exception. As the Vedas are eternal, so this truth of Krishna consciousness is also eternal. One should have firm faith in this injunction without envying the Lord. There are many philosophers who write comments on the Bhagavad Gita but have no faith in Krishna. They will never be liberated from the bondage of fruitive action. But an ordinary man with firm faith in the eternal injunctions of the Lord, even though unable to execute such orders, becomes liberated from the bondage of the law of karma. In the beginning of Krishna consciousness, one may not fully discharge the injunctions of the Lord, but because one is not resentful of this principle and works sincerely without consideration of defeat and hopelessness, he will surely be promoted to the stage of pure Krishna consciousness. In mantras 17 and 18, the devotee surrenders to the Lord and prays for shelter and guidance. Similarly, in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna surrenders to Lord Shri Krishna and prays to be accepted as his disciple. Arjuna says, Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. The spiritual science should be studied under a bona fide spiritual master. Lord Shri Krishna becomes Arjuna's guru and teaches him the science of self-realization.